Howard, Howard, W. Bradshaw, Bradshw. I was born here in Beaver, Utah, October 12th, 1927.
So this is your hometown?
Yes.
What school did you go here?
I graduated from Beaver High School, 1945.
Did you learn anything about Korea or Asia at the time in your high school days?
No, I did not. After graduation, the end of the war, World War II ended in August of 1945. In 1947, I was called as a missionary for the Mormon Church, or really the name is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to San Francisco in Northern California. And served people in different cities there, as well as on a American Indian reservation north of San Francisco. Came home in 1949.
What is the Mormon teaching? What is the main idea of Mormon Church?
The church began in April 6, 1830 in New York, in Palmyra, New York.
I'm sorry, April?
April 6, 1830. Joseph Smith was a young man. In 1820, he asked God which church he should join. He read the Bible. If any of you lack wisdom, he read in James, let him ask of God, and he did. And what we testify to is that in the spring of 1820, he actually saw God the Eternal Father and His Son Jesus Christ, two separate individuals, look alike. And just as in the Bible, when Peter, James, and John saw and heard Jesus Christ and Moses and Elijah on the Mount of Transfiguration, the Father in heaven spoke in the Bible when John the Baptist baptized Jesus.
Yeah.
And we believe that Joseph Smith actually saw them. And Heavenly Father says, Joseph.
Smith saw the Transfiguration?
Yes, he saw them. And the Father spoke, saying, Joseph, this is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased.
But you can see the Transfiguration too, if God allows you to do that.
No, yeah, but they are really individuals, actual beings, and intelligence and glorified. And Jesus Christ then says, Joseph, what do you want? And he wanted to know what church to join. And he says, none of them. But I have a work for you to do. And he's 14 years old. 3 years goes by, he's 17. He asked God again in prayer in his home. And a resurrected being came to him. He announced himself, his name is Moroni, an ancient prophet that lived here on the American continent at 400 A.D. And he told him of a record deposited in the hill Cumorah nearby on gold plates.
Okay.
And he got those and translated them into what we have as the Book of Mormon.
Mormon, okay.
The Bible, we believe really, and the Book of Mormon.
Okay. Thank you for your explanation. This interview is about your service,
yes.
So we will just make it short there, okay? All right.
That's fine.
So you come back for home 1949, right?
From a mission, yes.
Yes. And what happened to you? How did you come to know of the Korean War broke out?
Okay, my wife and I got married in August of 1950. The Korean War broke out in June 1950.
Yeah.
And they drafted.
How did you come to know of the Korean War broke out?
Because I lived right here, and
was it newspaper or
the newspaper, radio, TV? Not TV. There wasn't any TV then. Radio, and about 50 boys went from Beaver with 600 from southern Utah in what was called the 213th. And then my turn came around in May 1951. I was called into the service and went to Fort Lewis, Washington, and then transported me to Fort Lee, Virginia, where I received training. I was there in training from May till November.
Of
1951.
Uh-huh.
I came home on leave on the way to Korea. I shipped out of Seattle, Washington, about the last days of November 1951, arrived in Incheon. First Japan, then round to Incheon.
Mm-hmm.
And the harbor was so bombed, we had to go in PT boats.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put me on a train with others and sent us to Busan, Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a quartermaster battalion because of health problems, but not in the fighting area. But our battalion received from USA ammunition, fuel, big storage fuel tanks,
Mm-hmm.
clothing and food. We had lots of Koreans employed,
Mm-hmm.
and I supervised some of them. And I worked in the office taking care of personnel and things.
How was Korean people working there under you? Were they good, or were they able to speak in English?
They could some. They were really kind and good to me, and I was to them. They were really respectful to me
Mm-hmm.
because I loved them. On the streets of Busan, many orphanages
Mm-hmm.
and orphans, and they'd ask for a candy bar or something, and I'd give it to them. I loved those little Korean children. I've got pictures of them.
Did you take a picture of that by yourself?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friends and buddies that were with me. And but we shipped these supplies all over to the Army personnel all over. But in the meantime, while I was there, the church was organized with 5 soldier boys, and Dr. Kim Ho-jik joined the church at Cornell University in New York. Him and 5 boys, 5 GIs, met. In about February of 1952, he brought his family and some of his friends and met with us. I had the nights free on Tuesday nights. So a good friend of mine from Michigan and I and others met with all the Koreans that could come and taught them English in Busan in a chapel or an old building. Many came.
So he was the Mormon missionary?
No, just a professor at the university. He was in, I forget the university in Busan. He was a professor, this whole Kim Ho-jik.
Oh, okay.
He was a professor. He went to school in nutrition
Mm-hmm.
at Cornell. And we became very friendly with the Korean people.
So, how many Koreans were there to learn English?
Oh, probably before we got through, over 100.
How were they doing?
They did very well. And we taught them also about God and Jesus Christ and the church. And also American servicemen, friends came. 6 of them, the GIs, came into the church. 1 from New Orleans especially, and 1 from Montana. But before I left there was 50 of them.
All of them Christian, Mormon?
Christians,
All
yeah.
of them Mormon?
Yeah.
All of them Mormon?
Yeah, 50 about we baptized there in the China Sea in Korea.
Uh-huh.
Now today there's a temple in Seoul and 125,000 members in Korea. 125,000.
Wow. So, what was the most difficult thing during your service?
When I worked,
what did bother you most?
well, I was served on guard duty, but that was okay. Well, the thing was, when those Koreans came in the office, lots of strong kimchi. Oh, that was strong. But they loved
They
it.
brought the kimchi into the office, or the smell from them?
The smell, and they brought some. Yes.
Do you eat kimchi now?
No, I ate a little bit then, but not now. I don't.
So you didn't like it?
Well, no, well, I didn't like the smell, but it was okay. Yeah.
Were there any dangerous situation that you might have been killed?
No, I didn't have any. I was sick and put in a hospital.
Why?
I had arthritis and cold and flu, quite bad for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And there I met boys that were wounded, and Korean people were servants there and helped in that.
Mm-hmm. What was your rank, by the way?
I started out as a private, of course, and I became a sergeant when I left.
Mm.
But in the battalion I was with, they would have me speak to them about good moral standards and values, the battalion leaders.
What was your unit? Was it 8th Army or what?
6th Army, 98th Quartermaster Battalion I was in.
6th Army and what?
It was the 98th Quartermaster Battalion.
Quartermaster?
Yeah. Quartermaster means supplies.
I see.
And the needs of the people.
How much were you paid at the time?
$235 a month.
That's quite a lot.
My wife got 200 of it, and I kept 35.
What did you do with the $35?
Well, if I needed toothpaste or any other things we had to buy.
Did you have to buy those?
Yeah, sometimes. And then also right downtown Busan, from where our company was, I'd have to go on the bus. A bus.
And to do what?
To go to church meetings.
Oh, I see.
Maybe 3 times per week. And we were out, maybe 20 miles. And had to go right downtown Busan. And, I like to buy candy and give to the Korean children.
So how often did you write back to your your wife?
Every other day. She wrote every day.
What were you guys exchanging?
She'd talk to me about what our baby was doing and the family and things in Beaver. And then I would tell her the things I was doing and about the members in the church. It saved my life. It was a comfort and a joy. There was places in Busan that was not nice for GIs to go to. And I told them they shouldn't go there. You know what I mean. Yep. And
what is Korea to you now?
I love South Korea. I'm grateful for Sonny taking us back there in April of 2010. And to meet those 2 young people that were 8 and 10 when I was there in 1952. They met us in Seoul at the temple. 14 of us Americans got into taxis and went. And she got permission us, and we went to the temple. What I loved about that trip is how the young people bowed to us. And appreciation. I can still see that big banner when we shook hands with the president of South Korea that night. thank you for your commitment, and thank you for our freedom. That was there, and to have that lovely dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw a tattoo or earrings on any of your young people. I commend them for that. Your roads and buildings are just as nice as ours in the USA. Very polite. My wife and I enjoyed the trip to Panmunjom.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in that building, I was going to go around on North Korea side, and that soldier stepped out in front of me and says, "No, you go that way." Remember? And because the line was right down the middle of that where they signed the treaty. And then the barbed wire fences, and as you looked over into North Korea, oh, your heart broke for them. I wished we had completed the job and kept North and South Korea together.
Mm-hmm.
Together. You know one thing they told us? That bodies come down the Han River every day. Well, for what reason they died or commit suicide, I don't know. But I loved those people. And even today, we have a family here that moved to Beaver, Utah, that are from Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And they call my wife and I Grandpa and Grandma.
Mm-hmm.
We visit them every week.
What do you think about God's providence? You didn't know anything about Korea before you left, right?
No, I didn't. Just other than the war was out.
Why did God put you there?
He had a purpose. Some of those boys that returned from missions never got called in the army. And I didn't ask for any deferment. I love my country. I love freedom for all people. And so I did go in. In Fort Lee, Virginia, I had friends and made friends. And we had meetings. Going on the train through the Dakotas, I called all the Mormon boys together and we had a meeting and encouraged one another when I went there. And then I came home. Now in Korea, going over on the boat, I had 3,000 soldiers on that boat, that ship, and oh, I did get seasick. And then we landed in Yokohama. Then we came around Incheon. Going back, we went from Incheon to Osaka, Japan. The ship was to come to Camp Stoneman at San Francisco. I called to my wife and called her because I met a buddy that his sister lived in Oakland. And she could come out there and see me get off the ship and meet me. And she came when I rode up, setting up on a train with this little 2-year-old boy. And to that place, and those people up took her to home. 7 days out, they changed the place where that ship was to dock from San Francisco's Camp Stoneman to Seattle, Washington. And I got so seasick and dehydrated, they put me down in sick bay and fed me IV. The next Sunday, I got out of Sunday. I had all the Mormon boys on ship announced to come to a certain place, we'd have church. And the little Navy boy that put that IV in me got it between the skin and the vessel, and my arm popped up like that. Well, he walked in as a Mormon boy in that service. And then 7 days out, they changed that ship to go to Seattle. There was a boy that lives 18 miles from here that was on that ship. And I said, Heavenly Father, we have no money. My wife's in San Francisco. And here I'm going to Seattle. When I walked off that ship, all Utah boys went to Fort Lewis to be discharged. My name alone, only Utah boy, went with California boys, put on an airplane, and 4 hours later I was in San Francisco. Now that's God's hand. He lives. And that's my testimony as an 86-year-old man. I'm one of 15 children. My mother had 15. I'm number 9. I had a brother serve in Italy in World War II. But this is a great country that wants freedom for all people. So that tells you as a testimony. And we bought a car and then drove down through Bakersfield, California and home and have prospered in Beaver, Utah. With 8 children, 41 grandchildren, 2 have died, and today we have 60 great-grandchildren, and not a one on food stamps. And they work. Work is the greatest thing we can do. But all this is true. And those Korean people, if I had my way, I've got a niece, a grandniece right now, going to leave for a mission in Korea. And the other day we had 3 young men. All 3 had served missionaries in Korea in the last 20 years. Here and visited with them. Korea is God's choice children just as well as I am or anybody else.
How did your service during the war affect your life after you returned from Korea?
It has affected my life very much because I've been in this honor guard and we fire the rifle every Memorial Day in the cemetery, and for every veteran that dies, we attend his funeral and fire the rifle in the cemetery. We've done that since 1955.
I mean, upon your personal life here.
My personal life?
How did the war service affect you?
Well, by serving, it made me proud to be an American and appreciate freedom. Oh, the right to choice to do what you want and to search for your happiness. It really, really has been a great help to me. Now, my wife and I went from 1994 to 96 to Philippines. And we got to go to Corregidor. And we loved those people. But oh, the war was tough on them. World War II.
You said that you have 60 grandchildren.
Great.
And
60 great.
yeah, one of them participated in the KWV Youth Corps.
Yes.
Youth Corps that I created, my foundation created.
Yes.
What's his name?
Ethan.
Ethan. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
And this year I'm going to host the second convention, same thing, in Washington, D.C. from July 25th to 28th.
Yes.
And my foundation will cover everything except half of the round trip transportation. Would you please talk to your grandchildren and great-grandchildren in age of high school or the college and come to join us?
Well, we will, my wife and I will pay the airfare, their share, if they want to go, and she's going to call them on the phone. We have a granddaughter just graduated from Fruita High School in Colorado, near Grand Junction, and we have in Salt Lake City a granddaughter that's going to be a senior next year, and we hope they will go. Now, you can't send greats, it's grand, right?
I'm sorry?
You can't send great-grandchildren, you have to send greats.
No, it doesn't matter. No matter it's a grandchildren or great-grandchildren, it has to be in the high school or in college or just graduate of college.
Well, we have a grandson, too, that is either a junior or senior next year.
Yeah.
But we could have 3 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Please ask them to join and ask them to contact me, okay?
We'll do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because how do you think that people will remember the Korean War veterans? How? how do you think that Americans will remember the Korean War veterans and the Korean War?
They do now. In that Fruita High School graduation on the 13th of May this year, they had all the veterans stand up and they applauded us.
Yeah, but in 10 years, there are not many Korean War
No,
veterans
I
who
know
will
that.
survive.
But Ethan, oh, that was a great experience for him, and he picked up quite a bit of the Korean language. He loved those people over there, and he had a good friend.
After he participated
he participated.
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be here this weekend.
Ah.
His brother is going on a mission for 2 years to Cleveland, Ohio. And Ethan served his mission in Argentina. He speaks Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved to pick up the Korean language. But he loved that trip to Washington, D.C., as well as Korea. And so by you holding this, you're teaching these young people patriotism. With gratitude for what their grandpa did in Korea and for all veterans, and they are grateful for America, and it gives them great pride.
You know, I am Christian too, and when I read the Bible, I read Bible John chapter 1,
Yes.
verse 46, where that Jesus was picking up his disciples,
Yes.
and one of them was Philip,
Yes.
and Philip introduced Jesus to his friend Nathanael,
Yes.
and Philip said, there is a Messiah there, okay?
Yes.
And do you know what Nathanael said to him? He said, what good can come out of Nazareth?
Nazareth, yes.
Yeah. The Nazareth was an abandoned area. It was
Yes.
Gentiles, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a symbol of bad things at the time.
Yeah.
And when you saw the Korea for the first time, the Korea was horrible, right?
That's right.
Yeah. But now we have a Republic of Korea.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
So, can you match this metaphor of Nazareth with the Korea in 1950s?
Yes. I will tell you, my wife and I, in 2009, took our 8 children and their spouses to Egypt for 3 days and 2 nights, and then we went to Jerusalem and went to Nazareth and all those places for 9 days. We love the Jewish people. The Bible is true. And Nathaniel was one without guile. And Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God. He said, he that has seen me has seen the Father.
Right.
And he said in the Ephesians, and we gave some apostles and prophets for the perfecting of the saints and the household of faith.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that Jesus, the Son of God came out of Nazareth.
Yes.
So now the current Republic of Korea, democracy, strong economy, came out of horrible situation of 1953.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So I hope that Ethan and your grandchildren or great-grandchildren join us and activate themselves so that they can keep the legacy of your fight.
I promise you that our 40 grandchildren and our 60 great-grandchildren will always love America and will always appreciate the Korean War. And we have given each one of them a copy, but we're going to have to publish more and give to our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
So that's kind of a report of your trip to Korea.
My experiences as a soldier and as a leader in the church and as a member of the church, with many pictures in here of Korean children and Korean people. 50 of us standing on the China Sea. Maybe 20 of them dressed in white. Go down in the water, complete immersion, like Christ, and be baptized. I have pictures in here of this. we are going to install in them the greatness of America. My wife's ancestry goes back to John Hancock, that signed the Declaration of Independence.
Mm-hmm.
My family came in 1861 from England to Utah by train. And some of my relatives came by wagon. But we are grateful for America and we want freedom for all people. You know what the Korean War did and what the World War II did? And even with the fall of the Iron Curtain, it let missionaries go into all countries and to Germany. God has a purpose. We have them in Vietnam.
Amen.
And freedom. We just had them in the place Russia just took, Crimea, and we had to pull them out for safety and send them to other countries.
The Korean War was such an important war, right?
Yes.
Why?
To give freedom to your people.
Mm-hmm.
And to let God's work go forward to many nations. It prepares the way. Sometimes wars do open up the way, and sometimes they are sad, though. Oh, it's sad. Those little orphans that I can see now down in the corners of Busan.
But why has it been called as forgotten war? Even though it was such an important war.
Cultures change.
Huh?
Cultures change. Changed in America. Changed in Vietnam. Some of the people don't teach it. They don't want to work. And they want everything given to them.
No, I'm talking about why Korean War has been called as forgotten.
Well, because they don't teach it in the schools.
Right.
They don't teach it. And they don't teach the Constitution. They don't teach about the Civil War and the Revolutionary War. God brought this country together for a purpose.
So in this convention, this July 25th to 28th, I invited school teacher, history teacher from Georgia. She is the granddaughter of Korean War veteran.
Yes.
She is going to make a presentation about the coverage of the American history book on Korean War.
Good.
How short that is, right?
Yes.
He's not worrying about looking at the pictures or anything. It's kept for your generations.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you. What is your name?
Laverne.
Yeah, please give a microphone to her.
Okay.
Oh, no, don't.
No,
Whenever you talk.
Two of you share together.
Yeah, together.
She and I have been married. Will be August the 14th, 64 years.
Okay, let her speak, okay? What is your name?
Laverne Bradshaw.
Please.
The maiden name?
No. Spell your first name.
Lavern.
Right, and you've been married to?
To Howard for 64 years soon, in August.
You are endangered species here.
We are.
So, please tell me about how you felt and how you survived when he left for Korea.
Well,
Do you remember the day that he left for Korea?
Yes. I remember putting him on the bus, and I remember really well when we went to go pick him up when he was to come home. But we wrote letters every day. I went to the post office every day. And after my baby was born, I used this stroller and we walked to the post office and back. And I lived alone. I had the little boy. What else?
What's his name?
Howard Mark. We called him Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And he is now 62. And has, 7 grandchildren?
Yes. He served 33 years in the Utah National Guard, Army.
How often did he send the letter to you?
Every day.
He wasn't working then. He was just writing letters.
At night, he spent his time writing the letter, and he'd mail it the next day. And I did it at night when the baby was in bed, too.
How hard was it?
Well, it was hard, but I had something to look forward to. I knew he'd be back.
Did you work?
No.
So he told me that he sent $200.
Not at first. That was when I got to be a sergeant.
Sergeant.
First was about $130, and she got 100 of it, and I got 30.
At first he got $125.
Oh.
Our baby cost us $128 to have him.
Oh boy.
More than we were being paid.
Uh-huh.
But he got $250 at the end. But we got along fine. I gardened and I had food, and
You're the farmer.
I had a neighbor that shot a deer for me, and I pressure cookered that deer and ate that deer meat.
My father and mother was close by.
Oh, yes.
And they helped. So.
They gave it me meat. I put up fruit.
I don't have any sense the worth of dollar at the time. Okay, so with the $10, what were you able to do?
Well, we only made $118 a month then. See, so now you have to do
How much was the apartment renting?
$15.
$15. See, with the $10, you were able to do a lot of things, right?
Yes.
Yes. How much was the gasoline at the time?
About 18 cents.
I want to go back to that time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When I came home, I sold gas for 21 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do after you came back from Korea?
Me?
Yeah.
I went into a service station. I did want to go to school, but then I couldn't find the money to go. And my mother and father didn't have it. And I did have 10 head of cattle. But my father, I went into a service station business for 5 years. We bought 30 acres of ground and a home here for a total of $15,000.
How did you make the money?
In the service station, I made about $3,000 a year.
What do you mean by service station?
Gasoline and repair cars.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah, a gasoline station. And that's the day we pumped the gas in the tank and washed the windshield and checked the tires. But we did that 5 years. Then I bought an auto parts store. And we still have it today in the family. But we did well. We've graduated our children. And this land now, probably the home and all that I've got, is probably worth maybe $1 million.
There you go.
But
Millionaire Howard.
it goes to our estate.
It'll be divided among 8 children. We had 8 children.
And you have 60 grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren.
Well, we have 40 grand and 60 great.
Yeah.
So you'll be bankrupt after you distribute all these things to them.
We're going to have a fund set up. We have 4 that are on LDS, on church missions now, and it costs them $400 a month each. We pay all their own expenses, and we will give $100 to each one a month.
Okay. Laverne, you went to Korea, right? What was your impression about Korea?
Oh, I love Seoul. It was beautiful, and it was very hard. It was very hard to see the replicas that they had made of the little homes they lived in, but they were a lot like the homes we were at when we were on our mission in the Philippines. Still today.
We went to a park.
A
place, you remember?
Yes, and then in that museum with all those little homes. And I remember there were a couple of men that it really bothered them. One of them got sick and couldn't go with us for 4 days because it took him back, and it just really upset him.
Okay.
But see, Dad didn't have any fighting in his mission.
In his letter to you when he was in Korea, did he describe how Korea was?
He told about the little lean-to homes.
Tell me about
and food.
Uh-huh.
How hungry the little kids were, and and the soldier boys would give him gum and candy and things from there.
So even though you were not in Korea in 1950s, but you knew how Korea was at the time, right?
Yes, I think I know everything about it because in his letters we told everything, and I think I know as much about Korea as he does at that day. I didn't see it, but I think I...
That's an excellent point. So you knew about Korea, Korea when it was 1950s. Now you went back to Korea, not back, actually you made the first visit to Korea, and you were able to contrast that, right?
Yes, yes. And they had the museums, like I said, the way it used to be, and the way it is now is fantastic. It's beautiful.
The buildings from Seoul to Panmunjom, I'd say there'd be hundreds of thousands, 400,000. Tall, beautiful buildings.
So I want to hear this answer from you, Laverne.
Okay.
What is the legacy of his service in the Korean War? What did he do?
We have both been pleased. He's pleased that he served his country, and he's used it since 1955. Every Memorial Day, he's been in the Legion's fire squad, and he's used it all these years.
We've taught it.
And taught it to our kids. Our kids know all about Korea too.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I have my uniform, and our daughter put it on a while back, and she'll be here tomorrow night after graduation, and she tried on the uniform. But they appreciate the service that we gave, and they appreciate the Korean, and I met the Korean people.
I'm honored to be in this house. What do you want to say to this interview? Last comments that you want to make?
I appreciate your coming to see us. Here you're at the university in New York, and grateful that you met Sonny Lee. She's done a lot for the Korean war veterans of America. And she took over 100, and we met those soldiers from Colombia and Australia and others. I thank her, and thank you for coming. Let your people know over there that they need to keep fight for their freedom as we do in America, and to help other people. Because I believe all of us are brothers and sisters, children of heavenly parents. We are beloved children. As the Father said of Jesus, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased."
Amen.
And so we're all His children. And we're going to know each other in the hereafter. We're going to be individuals where you just don't dine in. We can become gods.